on this Wednesday morning. I hope that everything is going well with you and that you are enjoying your day already, having a beautiful day. I thank God for each and every one of you. And I wanted to bring this story to you. Very interesting story. Very interesting story. Now, yesterday I saw a video on YouTube of this particular story, but now it's a written story. And we don't know a lot of times what to believe anymore. Like with the video of the woman throwing the McDonald's food on the ground, and then they came out later and said that was just a skit. And it got a lot of people to talk, and it did get some thought-provoking, conversations going. Well, here's another story of this woman, and I saw the video, but I never could figure out what the man lied about, the supposing date. Never figured out. So today this story comes out, and it says that woman sues man for $10,000 after bad date. Unloads on judge during the hearing. Now, a Michigan woman had her lawsuit transferred out of court after she snapped at a judge for questioning her knowledge of the law when she decided to sue a man for taking her out on a bad date. Now, this is how the story starts. This is how the story unfolds. She's suing this man because she went on the date, is what the story unfolds. And she's suing him because it was a bad date. It didn't go well. Now, yesterday when I was watching a video on another YouTuber's channel, and I even asked the YouTuber, because I was like, do you know what he lied about? And he said, they haven't said it in the video. But however, there are some videos floating around, and you might, if you just pick, type it in YouTube, you can see the actual video, because I don't have the video on my own, because the story doesn't have the video attached, and I don't want to, go to someone else's channel and take their work. But I did want to bring you the story based on the written story of it, of the article. And so, because in this part of the story, it says that they did go on a date, but later on in the story, it says that he was a no-show. So I don't know if they knew each other and how long they've known each other. I mean, how long they've known each other prior to what went down and everything, but I'm not even sure how to pronounce this woman's name, and just alone would cause me some frustration trying to pronounce this woman's name, okay? Because we have a lot of people with different names, unique names, and sometimes they're hard to pronounce. So anyway, going on with the article, it says that Quashante, now I think that's how you pronounce it, Q-A, capital S-H-O-N-T-A-E. Now, I would say Quashante, but it could be pronounced another way. So I don't mean to botch up the name if I'm mispronouncing it. Miss Short is, her last name is Short, so Miss Short, okay? So she filed a suit against Richard Jordan, and this suit was filed in 2020, accusing him of intentional infliction of emotional distress caused by the date. Now, per TMZ, the legal docs allege that Richard intentionally hurt her feelings when he did not show and left on her mother's birthday, and her mom had just passed away. Now, let me stop right there before I go on in this article. Because, see, like I said, in the beginning it says that they were on a date and he hurt her feelings on the date. Now it's saying that he intentionally hurt her feelings when he did not show for the date. He didn't. He says did not show and left on her mother's birthday, and her mom had just passed away. So let's stop right there for a moment. I want to read that again. The legal docs allege that Richard intentionally hurt her feelings when he did not show and left on, and then they have her mother's birthday, and her mom had just passed away. So did they go on the date or did they not go on the date? That's the part that I like to know. Or how long have they known each other, and did they go on the date or did they not? Because here it's saying that he didn't show up. And she's angry because in the video yesterday, basically she was saying that he lied. So did he lie and tell her he was coming on the date and just didn't show up? Did the mother uh, pass away prior to her birthday? Rest in peace, whoever you are, no pun intended. But did the mother pass away prior to her birthday? This little part right here kind of doesn't make sense, so you kind of got to have to try to dig into it to really try to figure out or what they're trying to get at right here. Because this article, when you talk about he didn't show up, that means he didn't show up for the date. It's like he ghosted her. He said he was going to show up, but he didn't show up. She was ready. She got dressed, and she was ready, probably dolled up and ready to go on this date. That's how most women do. They get dressed up. They look nice. You know, get yourself together, and you get ready for a date, and the date doesn't show up. So, yes, you will be upset. Yes, you will feel rejected. Yes, you will feel some kind of way. Maybe even it'll take a hit on your self-esteem. Or confidence in who you are, because a man promises to take you on a date, to pick you up, to meet you somewhere, and they don't show up. We are women, so quite naturally, not all women would get upset. They were just like, whatever, he wasn't meant to be. I dodged the bullet. If he's going to do that, he's not worth my time. Some women will move on like that. They're strong enough to move on like that. And then there are some women that are not strong. And then she was allegedly going through what she was going through with the mother passing away and saying it was her mother's birthday. So it appears that the mother passed away prior to her birthday. And so therefore she was feeling a certain type of way. And as you know, most people have a hard time when mothers pass away. They are the matriarch of the family. And when your mother passes away, it hits you a lot differently most of the time. I'm not saying all the time, and I'm not trying to say that fathers don't mean anything, because they do. But a lot of times when a mother passes away, it hits you quite differently. It doesn't matter if you're young, middle-aged, or elder. It hits you differently because moms tend to always be there and love you unconditionally no matter what. So with that being said, I could see her dealing with some emotional stress of losing her mother. But however, getting back to this, if the man didn't show up, then he is not meant to be. He is not the one for you if he didn't show up. And if he didn't bother to call you and use proper etiquette, then guess what? He's not worth your time anyway. He's not. And we got to know who we are, and we have to know our worth as women and value ourselves. If a man doesn't show up, so if he sets a date with you and doesn't show up, doesn't call you, doesn't text you, because that's a lot going on with texting, doesn't email you, doesn't leave you a voicemail message, doesn't do any of those things, guess what? Then he's probably not worth your time. And then we can look at it from the male perspective. Maybe she wasn't worth his time. Maybe he did know her before this, and maybe he saw some things in her that he did not care for. And instead of calling to say, look, it's over, or I don't want to continue the relationship, I don't want to go on the date, because it doesn't really talk about all of that. But sometimes you have to kind of try to read through some things, and there is some speculation, and there is some what if it happened this way, and what if it happened, to produce some thought-provoking conversation. So what if he decided that he saw some things about her, which was a red flag, like with her. It was a red flag he didn't show up, that he didn't call her, that he didn't message her, he didn't communicate with her, So maybe he saw some things and he didn't want to be bothered with, because maybe if he had contacted her, she might have went off on him and started going off. Who knows where this lady was at, but there was some emotional stuff going on with this lady that she felt that this man was responsible for her emotional, stress. And she is suing Quashante, and I'm going to say Quashante, and I hope I'm saying it correctly, was demanding Jordan, who is the man's name, pay her $10,000 as a result of this distress. Now, during the pair's 10-minute virtual hearing with Judge Herman Marable, Jr. In Flint, Michigan, Jordan remained quietly, during the pair's 10-minute virtual hearing with Judge Herman Marable, Jr. in Flint, Michigan. Jordan remained relatively quiet aside from speaking on how this case was a waste of the court's time. That is a waste of the court's time. And I don't know about every court or any other courts in different states, but I do know that in the state of California, a lot of times people can sue, but it depends on the actual jurisdiction or the county, because those cases have to go through the court and be reviewed before they can be approved to go to trial. So in a case like this, first of all, they would have thrown it out if it was filed in the wrong court. They would have thrown it out and you would have had to refile the charges. Yes, you absolutely would have had to refile the case and pay the charges of what it's cost to refile it. They wouldn't have just transferred it. A lot of times they don't do that. Sometimes they make exceptions, but they wouldn't have did that. If you file a case in the wrong court, usually they will just reject it and tell you that you have to refile it, and they usually do not give you any refunds for the fees. Once you file those fees and you have went to the wrong court, then guess what? They don't give you those. They don't return those fees. They use those fees for the what do they call it? For court fees and for the time and effort of the employees that use their time. So they use up those fees that you pay. It's just like if you was to order a document and you search for it and you paid for it and you ordered it and then it came back that there was no document, you know, they don't give you that money back. And I'm pretty, I mean, they tell you that. That's how I know, because they tell you when you go to order a document, they tell you that they can search for it, and if no document is found, the fees are not returned to you. They are used by, like consumed into, the time that is spent for the employees to do research or whatever they have to do. And those court fees, it just, it's time and effort or whatever. So anyway, I'm not sure how this was allowed to go through the court, but hey, every court system is different. Because, like, again, she filed this case in the incorrect court. And maybe the judge was just doing her a favor by transferring it to keep her from having to refile it all over again and pay the fees all over again. Because in the video, he even asked her, do you want this case needs to be refiled? Do you want to refile it or something like that, he says. But it was kind of hard to hear, what was going on. But I believe he did ask her, did she want to refile it or something to that effect, or transfer it? So he did transfer the case to another courtroom. So anyway, getting back to the article, she argued. Wait a minute. Let's go back. So Jordan remained relatively quiet, until he basically, was the waste of court's time, which it is. But Judge Marable Jr. seemed to agree with him. He agreed. The judge agreed with Jordan and questioned whether Sharp was in the proper courtroom to handle this case. You see what I'm saying? So she was actually in the wrong courtroom, and that's what was determined in the actual video. And it says that she argued that she was arguing that she was in the right courtroom. She argued that. But she was very argumentative. Throughout the whole thing, she was argumentative, okay? But she argued that she was, and accused Jordan of committing perjury as a result of a misleading statement he put on a document filed to the judge. Now, most of us know what perjury is, but this lady, I don't think she understands the definition of perjury and how that works. But she insisted that she knew what perjury was, and she didn't appreciate it, that the judge was questioning her intelligence. And we're going to get to that in this article. Okay, you people? Okay, brothers and sisters, friends and families and people that are tuning in and my subscribers. We're going to get to that. But anyway, she argued that she was in the right courtroom and accused Jordan of committing perjury as a result of a misleading statement he put on the document filed to the judge. Judge Marable Jr. stopped her and reminded her that perjury can only occur in a courtroom because it's committed under oath, which Short took offense to it. Now see, this is the thing. She did not take correction very well. The judge is explaining to her. He is a judge. He's been to school. He was either elected or appointed, and I'm not sure how that happens in Michigan and in the Flint, Michigan county, but he is a judge. So I would say that he does have some knowledge of what perjury is. Even Judge Donnelly knew what perjury was, but she didn't follow through on the, impeaching of the testimony or whatever it's called. But she knows too what it means, but she did not follow through. But she should have, because we know there was a lot of perjury going on, and she even admitted it with one of the Jane Does. But anyway, nevertheless, let's get back to this. So anyway, she took offense to the fact the judge was correcting her about perjury can only occur on can only occur in a courtroom because it's committed under oath. When you're testifying and you lie under oath, that is perjury. Because I believe, was it Little Kim, the rapper, was it her that went to prison? And I think she served, 5 years for committing perjury. So some judges are serious about holding you accountable, and some judges are even serious about holding you in contempt. And this lady was yelling at this judge, and I don't know why he did not hold her in contempt. Maybe that would have brought her back to reality, maybe. But anyway, he put a document that stated a lie, she said, yelling over Judge Marable Jr. She was yelling at the judge. I mean, like as if she was just outside or at her home, just straight out yelling. She didn't even care where she was, that it was a courtroom per se. She did not care about that. And it looked as if they were on a Zoom video. But even so, you still have to conduct yourself as if you're in a courtroom with this as a Zoom, because it's still a courtroom meeting. It may be Zoom virtual meeting, but you still have to conduct yourself professionally. She was yelling over the judge, and she said, bottom line, you said it was a criminal offense, so I will send it to a circuit court. And so now she wants this man to be prosecuted for a criminal offense, you all. Now this is like just going way off way out there. You know what I'm saying? So now she wants this man to be prosecuted in the circuit court. She wants him to be prosecuted as a criminal. She's saying it's a criminal offense because that's what she's saying. The judge said that it's a criminal offense. And so she is very angry about this. And so she wants this man prosecuted, another black man, because these people were black, okay? And then she goes on to say, are we done here? Are we done here? And she does that twice. And she said, I know exactly what perjury means. Well, no, you don't. Honestly, there's a lot of people that will have to disagree with you. Miss Short. I'm going to just use Miss Short because I don't want to botch your name if I already have. So I'm just going to say Miss Short. There's a lot of people out here that will disagree with you. You obviously don't know what it means, or you just said something because you're so angry and in your emotions that you're not thinking clearly, because this is really gone too far. And so anyway, the argument escalated from there, with Short and the judge eventually screaming over one another. Now let's stop right here. First of all, I would not, if I'm the judge, and I'm not the judge, but if I'm the judge, listen, we all should know how to conduct ourselves, whether we're on a Zoom judge hearing, a Zoom court hearing, or not. We should know how to conduct ourselves in a court of law, and we should act like responsible adults and hold ourselves accountable and hold ourselves to a certain standard. And for this woman to be yelling and screaming at a judge is very disrespectful, and it's very dishonorable. From this article, it is. And from the video I saw yesterday, it's very disrespectful and it's very dishonorable. And is this what we're doing now? Is that we going all off on folks, judges in the courtroom yelling and screaming and giving the incorrect definition of what perjury is, and then arguing about that back and forth with a judge and saying that they know exactly what perjury means, even though they are acting like they don't. And I'm going to say this. If you follow Judge Judy and watch her cases, you know, people feel a certain way about her. Some people love her. Some people have an indifference with her. But however, Judge Judy would have shut this down real quick. And I know that's court, TV and all, but she would have shut it down. That lady case would have got shut down immediately. Immediately. She just wouldn't have went there with that. She would have put her out of her courtroom with all that yelling. She would have put her out of the courtroom. And she might have even dismissed her case. Because some cases she has dismissed when somebody starts going off acting inappropriate in her courtroom, yelling at the top of their lungs. She would have just dismissed the case. And then there I've seen where she just put them out of the courtroom and told them, are you able, and when they come, say, bring them back in, have the bailiff to bring them back in and just say, are you able to conduct yourself, you know, whatever she says. And she wants an answer, yes or no. And the person might try to start explaining themselves. She don't want to hear that. It's yes or no. Are you ready to conduct yourself properly, or do I need to dismiss your case? This is what really probably should have happened. But of course, we are being entertained by a lot of stuff in this world. This is a lot of entertainment. Now, I don't know if this is a real situation here, but it seems to be just some entertainment on this, because nowhere, no way, no how that this should have went on that long. But anyway, getting back to the article, it says, please do not insult my intelligence, she told the judge. Do not do that. Do not insult my intelligence as if I do not understand what the word perjury means. Now, I'm like, you know, turning my head, listen, now I got my hand on my hip up here with my fist balled up, and I'm letting you all know, rolling my neck all around, that I know what perjury is. Do you understand that I know what perjury is? And so you do not need to insult my intelligence, Judge Marable, because I know what perjury is what she's talking. I'm just letting you all know this is how I'm taking it. Do not, with an exclamation mark behind it. If it's a criminal offense, then it's a criminal offense, Judge. You know, she probably rolling her neck and moved all close to the podium and leaning over it with her eyes rolling and bawling and big, because she is really, really upset, you people. So all I'm saying is we should have shut that down. But anyway, nevertheless, Judge Marable Jr. ended up transferring the case over to circuit court, which means the disgruntled pair will have to appear in front of another judge at a later date. Now, let me say this. They said the disgruntled pair. The only person seen disgruntled was Miss Short. Jordan didn't have a lot to say. He remained relatively quiet, as the article says, allegedly, but the article says he remained quiet, relatively quiet, except for when he spoke up and said, this is a waste of the court's time. She is the only one that seemed very disgruntled. And again, lady, Miss Short, if this man ghosted you, this man did not show up to a date at all, there's red flags right there. Consider yourself lucky that you didn't go any farther. Let's look at it from on a different perspective here. You are blessed that you didn't go any farther. Then maybe he's blessed that he didn't show up, especially since we listening to a video and reread this article, and this article is saying that this woman is suing this man for $10K. Now, does this man have money? I don't know. I'm going to try to look that up and find out if this man has some money. Well, it doesn't. It just says his name is Jordan, so I don't know. Maybe it's on Facebook, you all. I don't really do Facebook that much, but maybe it's on Facebook. Who knows? Does the man have money, and so she feels that she can go after this man's money because she feels he has money and she's going to win? I don't think she's going to prevail unless it's something this man really did to her to harm her, to take something from her, to damage her property, something like that. I don't think she's going to prevail. Because when you really look at common sense, and we know that common sense just isn't common anymore, but when you look at certain things, it used to be where if a man just didn't show up, then you knew that hey, he wasn't worth it. So now, we don't know, and it could be more to the story, and maybe we can find out if there's an update. We can get the information about this if there's an update. But right now, just reading this article, it seems like it seems like both of them dodged a bullet on each other. He didn't show up, and then it said he did show up. So we don't know what is right. Did he show up or did he not show up? And then she's feeling a certain kind of way because her mother passed away, and the man ghosted her and didn't show up. And in one case, it said that they was on a date and the date didn't go well. So did the man really damage her property? Did she take a loss? Really a loss. Did he damage her property, take a loss? Did he embarrass her, slander her name, defame her character in front of other people out in public? Those are things that the court has to look at to see if there was really, really damage suffered. Did she really suffer damages in this case? They have to look at that they really do. And is there documentation of her emotional stress? Did she go to therapy? Did she get a counselor? Did she go, or is she currently in counseling? I mean, there's a lot of stuff on that you can look at with this case when having these conversations. What did he do to really, that she suffered a loss in order for her to even be suing this man? I'm not saying she didn't. I don't really know. But just reading this article, it would seem like they both dodged a bullet. There were some red flags because he didn't show up. And if he did do anything to her, that would say, hey, you know what? I don't want to be with somebody that's not treating me right. I don't want to be with somebody that's not going to show up, that's not going to be courteous enough to call me and say they can't make the date or they don't want to be bothered or anything. And then the way she's behaving, he dodged a bullet. I'm telling you, I would not want to be with someone that's yelling and screaming and going all off, don't know how to conduct themselves, all over. She's saying he lied on a document and that he didn't show up, and she was going through stuff. So she feels like this man owes her something. She feels like she's entitled. Obviously, something is going on for her to be suing this man because he was a no-show on a date, but then saying that the date went bad. So I don't know if the writer of this story just decided to put that in there, that the date went bad, or they're just not reporting the whole story, because it does say that in the beginning, but then it also says that he did not show up for a date, and it was on her mother's birthday, and her mother had just passed. So I'm wondering if the mother passed away before her birthday, and she was expecting him to, be there for her, to comfort her, or whatnot. So at the end of the day, you all leave your respectful comments below. I'd like to hear what your comments are. This is a very interesting story, entertaining, but also interesting. And we have gotten to the point where it's just anything goes these days. There's no etiquette. There's nothing, like it used to be. Just people just way out there and out of control. Just out of control, people. Very out of control. So anyway, you all, thank you for tuning in. Rate the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you're not. And don't forget to follow me on my Instagram. Thank you very much. God bless you all.